Welcome back, record collectors, crate diggers, and music mavens. This is Ant on Music. I'm your host, Ant, and I'm going to take a look this week at some of the new releases that have come out, something that I've been searching for about a year, and a couple other things as well. First thing we're going to get into, we're going to jump right into this today with this release. Okay, here's the hype sticker. Okay, Roger Waters, Dark Side of the Moon, the redo. Okay, a lot of talk about this album online, and seems to be getting a lot of negative attention, and I don't think it deserves it at all. The album is as advertised. It's a redo. It's not a remake of the album. I know a lot of people think that you shouldn't mess with, a quote-unquote classic album. And for the most part, I usually fall into that category. I don't like certain things being touched. Like, there's no reason to do a remake of Stairway to Heaven. This album by Pink Floyd, when Floyd released Dark Side of the Moon 50 years ago, it stayed in the charts for literally something like 9 years straight in the top 200 album charts. It was on the charts forever. And it's a touchstone for a lot of people. It's one of the greatest albums in the rock canon. It's pretty much been untouchable. But during lockdown, Roger Waters, who wrote most of the album, did what was called lockdown sessions, and he released an album of that material as well. And that got the guys in his band to start talking about revisiting this, in honor of the 50th anniversary, and doing something different but yet familiar. And I think the album really is quite strong. Some people have described it as boring. Some people have described it as sacrilege. But I really dig it. Take a look at the album first. You've got the album cover, and you've got the rear. And, to follow along with the rest of the artwork, you have that. And, of course, the classic take on the prism with information regarding how they came about doing the album. The version I got, there were a lot of different colors. I went with basic black because I didn't want to wait for it to be delivered. I really wanted to give a listen to it. And I really dig it. It's a total reworking of the album. Lyrically, it's very different in certain places. One of my favorite tracks is Great Gig in the Sky. The original version, and believe it or not, the new version is basically spoken word, and it's Roger reminiscing about one of his friends that has since passed away. But what this album is, it really takes into account, the artist being Roger Waters, looking back on his life and what was probably his greatest achievement from a recording stance. And, it was the one that really put Floyd on the map as far as, being more popular. They were more of a cult act prior to that when Syd Barrett was in the band. But, I say give it a fair chance. I say check it out. It's really fantastic, but you got to approach it with an open mind. You can't just be short-sighted and go, he's ruined it. He's messed with the classic. He screwed it up. He didn't. He obviously knows what he's doing, and it really is a great listen, especially if you can listen to it on headphones, just like you would have with the original Dark Side of the Moon. It really reveals a lot of itself. It really is a fantastic album, and I suggest checking it out. So Dark Side of the Moon, the redo. If you take a good close look at the cover, you'll notice that there is the original album artwork being held up by someone reflecting in the dog's eye. So that's the first thing that we have for the week. Second thing we have, which this was a pleasant surprise. I didn't know this was coming out. And then all of a sudden I saw an advertisement for it online. I was like, oh, I've got to get this right away. Name of the album is Rio, but it's not Duran Duran. Okay, this is Trevor Rabin, of Yes fame. Okay, and this is his first album in 30 years that has vocals. Okay, he's done a lot of soundtrack work, and he's done stuff outside of Yes. A couple years back, they had a reunion of Anderson, Rabin, and Wakeman, which did really well. But apparently, this is stuff he's been working on for a while, and I guess he finally felt it was time to release it. There really are some fantastic tracks on this album. First track, Big Mistakes, I really like. Same thing for Push and Oklahoma. basically the whole first side. Paradise is excellent, as well as Goodbye. These Tears is another good track, and Tonic. On this version, which is limited to 2,000 copies worldwide, it contains 3 bonus tracks, which aren't available on the standard release. They're called Spec and Poly, Fragile, and Georgia. In addition to the album itself, he included an autographed card from Trevor. Always cool to have something like that into the autographed albums collection. And there's a Blu-ray with the album recorded in 5.1 sound. So you have that here. And the album itself, it's heavy duty, really a heavy duty cover. It's not flimsy. It comes with a book that contains the liner notes as well as the lyrics to all the songs on the album. The album itself is this cool transparent red. And if you notice the artwork on the labels, it's the same as the artwork on the book, of course, and on the cover. That is actually done by Trevor himself, and the piece is known as Absinthe. So if you want to take another look at that, so that's original artwork by Trevor Rabin, gracing the cover of his album. Talk about doing something from beginning to end. He was obviously involved every step of the way in the creative process. The album is cinematic in scope. If you dig what he did with Yes, you'll definitely like this. If you like his solo albums that he had prior to Yes and during and after, you'll definitely like this as well. It really shines through with what Trevor Rabin brought to the table as far as Yes is concerned. Moving right along, okay. Next thing we have is kind of another redo in a way. And what I mean by that is if you look over my shoulder here, you see the Steven Wilson Harmony Codex. That was the Asai Records version with the OBI, and it's autographed by Steven. Actually got 2 more copies of the album. This one is standard black vinyl, okay? And with this one, same track listing, nothing special. It's just the basic black version. I did order this from Action Records, which Steven did a signing at the record store. And if you did order through Action Records, they provided you with an autographed copy from the date that he was in store. And it was a pre-order, so they knew exactly how many he had to sign prior to arriving in store. I'm still loving this album. I've been listening to a lot. Impossible Tightrope, which is probably the proggiest track on the album, that clocks in at almost 11 minutes. That song's great. Still loving Beautiful Scarecrow, as well as the Harmony Codex, the title track, and Actual Brutal Facts and Staircase, starting to stick in my brain as well. It's Steven Wilson. It's well produced. It's going to have elements of prog, elements of electronic and ambient music. It really stands apart from the stuff he does with Porcupine Tree, and definitely builds upon the last album as well. And to continue talking about Steven Wilson, as I said, I got 2 copies this week. This one is the non-autographed, as they put it, clear version, but it's not actually clear. What it is it's more like a Coke bottle green, which is really quite beautiful. It's another gorgeous copy. So, and I really, like I said, really loving this album. And oddly enough, I'm not done getting copies of this yet. I know people go, why do you get so many copies of something? For me, it depends on the artist. Steven Wilson, I think, is one of the most important artists that we have in music today. He does a lot of production work as far as taking other bands' back catalogs and redoing them and giving them a better sound. He's done a lot of work with King Crimson, Jethro Tull. He even did Chicago 2, which, if you like Chicago, try and find the Chicago 2 album where Steven Wilson did the remix on it. It really it brings out every single instrument, and it makes everything so crisp and clean and clear. It's phenomenal. but I haven't received everything that I've ordered as far as Steven Wilson goes. Still, somewhere out there in the great unknown is my copy of the CD with Blu-ray version, which comes in it's kind of like a box set. And the last I saw, it's gone through Royal Mail and it has arrived here in the United States. Yay, finally here in the States. Hopefully it gets here to my door within the next couple of days. And when it does, I'll take a look at that, give it a listen. There's bonus material on that. I will definitely, bring it here and show it to everyone that wants to see. I got 2 more things for you this week. One of them I've been searching for a year, just about. During Record Store Day last year, Black Friday, there was a bunch of stuff that I wanted. I got almost everything. The one thing I didn't get, even over time, until just the other day, was this album. Okay, Soul Asylum. This is Unplugged on MTV, if you remember that. That was a great series that MTV ran. There was a lot of great bands. Some of them did put out albums from the series. I believe Alice in Chains, they have one that was famous, Unplugged. Nirvana was another one. I'd really like to see the Aerosmith one come out. Aerosmith did one, as well as Queensryche. But this one I was searching for a long time. This was Soul Asylum, pretty much at the height of their fame. It's got such a fantastic track list. It kicks off with Runaway Train, Homesick, Never Really Been, We Three, Get On Out, Black Gold, which was a pretty good song for the day, Grounded, Someone to Shove, which is one of my all-time favorite songs by Soul Asylum, and the acoustic version here is just, you got to hear it to believe it. It was aired, but like you, it was like listening to it with fresh ears, after 30 years of not hearing it since the original show. What a different take on that album, which is really like a punk song in their catalog. To hear it broken down in acoustic, it's really cool. Other songs on here that are really great are Without a Trace, Summer of Drugs, which wasn't released prior to this release on vinyl. This is the first time release on vinyl. And I got the hype sticker here that shows that. And also Ooh La La. As far as the album goes, it's pretty basic as far as the album. It's on basic black, but it is limited edition. It was only a Record Store Day release, so happy to have that in my collection. Really happy to have it. There's liner notes in here from Dave Pernier, who is the lead vocalist and guitarist with them, and he wrote all the music. This is the interior shot of the gatefold, a lovely gatefold sleeve. Album credits and essay by Dave. Very happy to have this. It sounds great, and like I said, I hope some of the other bands that I mentioned, like Queensryche, get around to releasing their Unplugged from back when they were on the show, and same with Aerosmith. I'd love to see that. Last thing that I have for you this week, I'm going to pose it as a question. Has anybody else gotten caught up in the madness? And I mean the madness of collecting. Like I say at the start of every week, record collectors. I have a tendency to be a completist with stuff. I try to get everything from artists that I love. And when I mean that, I mean mostly albums, live albums, stuff like that, imports. I'm really not a big bootleg guy, not unless I know there's one, maybe a show that I've been to, or I know that it has outstanding sound quality. There's nothing worse than plopping down, 20, 30, 40 bucks for a record and listening to it and it sounds like it was recorded through a tin can. For me, I would much rather have something along the lines that sounds good, straight off the board, something along those lines, as opposed to something that, really sounds like it was done half-assed. But this goes into that category of completists. I don't know how many people out there, aside from me, have been getting the Dream Theater Lost But Not Forgotten series. Now, I don't have them all, but I do have a few of them. This is the latest one. This is from the Lost But Not Forgotten archives. This is The Making of Scenes from a Memory, the sessions from 1999. Okay, and this is probably their best album in my opinion. This was the peak of when Mike Portnoy was with them. The tour for this was amazing. This one, I get to go into Austin Powers mode here. This one, much like Goldmember, it's gold! So pretty. Look at that. Gold album. It's got the Archives logo on one side, track listing on the other. It is a 2-album set, and it does come with the CD as well, which is nice. You know, some artists will put them out separately. With this collection, they've been putting them out, you know, colored vinyl, you know, black vinyl, and they always have the CD included. You know, I got the little hype stick here talking all about it. I mean, like I said, I don't have them all, but I do have quite a few of these. You know, dramatic tour of events from the soundboard, you know, same thing. You know, 2LP, you know, and CD as well. Train of Thought, the instrumental demos. Old Bridge, New Jersey from '96, you know, from that tour. Live in Berlin from 2019. Live at Madison Square Garden 2010. This one's really cool. This one I'm actually going to pop out to show you. I was at this show. This was when they opened for Maiden. This was their homecoming show. You know, it was Mike's last day with the band as far as playing in New York. You know, basic black vinyl. They had a good set list this night. You know, it definitely felt like a triumph for them when they were there. You know, sorry to see Mike go. Mike's gone on to do other things. The band's continued on without him. You know, obviously being openers, they didn't have a long set, but they did play several songs. They played As I Am, A Rite of Passage, Act 2, Scene 6, Home, Constant Motion, Panic Attack, and of course the big crowd pleaser, Pull Me Under to finish off the night. And like I said, it's a great set list from them, and it was good to see them at home in front of a friendly New York crowd opening for Maiden. It was a good night all along. Little did we know that was going to be the end of Mike Portnoy playing with Dream Theater. Also have Made in Japan from 2006. Believe it or not, Dream Theater covering Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast. Back when Mike was in the band, they used to do a full album from any band they felt like doing, really. It was based on if they were playing 2 nights in a row at a venue. The second night, they would always have one set where it would be a cover album. And they also have Falling Into Infinity. That's another one. And I guess somewhere maybe on my turntable is the other one, which was Dream Theater doing all of Master of Puppets whole and entire, because I don't see it here in the stack and I know I own it. So that's what I've got for this week. There's plenty of more good stuff coming out. I always got my eyes open for whatever I may find in a, you know, in a record bin, in a used bin, you know, on clearance at certain stores. You know, shop your local indie record shops. That's what I do. I try and get as much as I can from my local indie shops. I love them. You know, if you have any questions, any comments, anything you'd like me to see, you know, me to do you know, a video on, you know, post it in the comments below. Share the video with your friends. Tap subscribe. More people, the better. I want to grow this to the best that I can. I thank you for your time, for coming and checking me out. I really do appreciate it. And as always, peace, one love, music. Love you all. Catch you next week. Take care. Bye.